Welcome back to Andy and Anna Talks, where we explore the future of humanity through curious, deep conversations. And today we're diving into a question I think is on a lot of people's minds right now. As artificial intelligence keeps getting smarter, which jobs can we actually count on being relatively safe?
Yeah, it's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, we see AI doing amazing things with writing, art, even customer service. So it's totally natural. People are wondering, what does it mean for my job?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Feels like every other day there's some new AI thing popping up. And interestingly, it seems like it's not just the super high-level jobs that might be safe. Some really, well, ordinary human-centric jobs, even the kind of messy ones, seem quite resilient.
Exactly. And that's what we want to dig into today. Which jobs are less susceptible? And maybe more importantly, why? What's the underlying reason? So think of this as your shortcut to getting a handle on this really complex picture.
Okay, great. So let's get right to it then. Why is AI moving so quickly and replacing certain kinds of work? What's the main driver there?
Well, fundamentally, AI is incredibly good at spotting patterns and handling repetitive tasks consistently over and over, plus processing just vast amounts of data way faster and cheaper than humans can.
Okay, so pattern recognition, repetition, big data. That makes sense.
Yeah, algorithms just eat that stuff up.
So can you give us some concrete examples? Like which jobs are feeling the heat already?
Sure. Think about things like data entry, basic legal document reviews, the first pass stuff, some routine accounting tasks, even entry-level customer service where it's mostly about scripted answers, and creating really basic online content like those listicles driven purely by SEO keywords.
Right, the stuff that doesn't need a ton of like creative thinking or deep judgment.
Exactly. Predictable, data-driven work.
So on the flip side, what makes a job harder for AI to take over? What are those characteristics?
It really boils down to unpredictability
Yeah.
and the need for skills that are just uniquely human, things that current AI really struggles with.
Okay, unpredictability and human skills. Let's unpack one of those.
Emotional intelligence, empathy. That feels like a big one.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. Roles where you genuinely need high EQ, real human empathy, those seem pretty secure for now, like therapists, social workers, nurses, especially folks working in palliative care or, end-of-life support.
Yeah, because it's not just about following steps A, B, and C, is it? It's about tuning in, really listening, picking up on what's not being said, offering comfort. AI can't really do that authentically.
Precisely. I mean, you can feed AI tons of data about human interactions, but it doesn't feel empathy. And that trust, that feeling of being genuinely seen and heard by another person, not just analyzed by code,
Yeah.
that's crucial in those fields.
It's interesting. We often think future jobs means tech, tech, tech. But you mentioned earlier some surprisingly ordinary jobs holding strong, manual labor.
Yeah, this really challenges some common assumptions, doesn't it? Think about plumbers or electricians.
Right. These jobs involve complex hands-on work, often in environments that are totally unpredictable. Old houses, weird wiring, unique problems every time.
You can't just pre-program a robot for the mess of pipes you find behind a wall from like 1920, can you? Or figure out some bizarre electrical fault that's specific to that house.
Exactly. The adaptability needed is immense. Robots struggle with that kind of real-world messiness and the fine motor skills needed in constantly changing 3D spaces.
And construction, too, I imagine. The physical skill, judging spaces, safety on a dynamic site. That seems tough for robots.
Very tough. Dexterity, spatial awareness, constant real-time adjustments. It's a huge challenge for current robotics. And it makes you think, if you're advising kids on careers, maybe alongside coding, you should mention HVAC repair or welding. Skilled trades look surprisingly resilient.
That's a really valuable point. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about the other end? High-level strategic roles, leadership. Can AI handle that complex thinking?
Well, AI can certainly help inform strategy. It can analyze data, spot trends, maybe even model scenarios. But those really top-level jobs, CEOs, creative directors, brand strategists, founders, they often rely on understanding really complex, sometimes unspoken context.
So it's more than just crunching numbers. It's about understanding culture, sensing moods, making judgment calls where the data is maybe ambiguous.
Precisely, like deciding when to pivot a whole company, or launching a risky ad campaign, or navigating, say, a tricky political climate. That requires a kind of nuanced judgment and intuition built from experience and social feedback that AI just doesn't have yet.
That gut feeling you get from years of dealing with complex human stuff.
Yeah.
Hard to code that.
Exactly. And that leads us to another really critical area, ethical judgment. navigating complex social situations.
Ah, yes. Morality, ethics.
Yeah.
Those aren't exactly algorithms, are they?
Not at all. Think about HR, for example. The human side of HR, like having to let someone go, or mediating a really sensitive conflict between employees, or deciding if someone deserves a second chance. That takes empathy, understanding context, intention, things that go way beyond just following policy rules.
You need to weigh the human impact, assess character, apply fairness in a way that isn't just black and white.
Right, and you see that in roles like judges, mediators, diplomats too. Understanding the emotional subtext, the social dynamics, it's absolutely central to making good decisions. AI can apply rules, sure, but humans apply wisdom, hopefully. They understand the why behind the rules.
Okay, so it's definitely not a case of AI just replacing everything.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a big gray area, sort of muddy middle.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, a lot of jobs are in that muddy middle ground. Certain tasks within a job might get automated, but the whole role still needs that human touch, that blend of human and AI.
Like journalism, maybe?
Perfect example. AI can probably write up a basic news report from, say, a press release or data feed.
But digging deep, investigative work, interviewing people, weaving together complex stories, understanding bias, that's still very human.
Absolutely. Or think about medicine. AI is getting amazing at analyzing scans, finding patterns doctors might miss.
But delivering a tough diagnosis, sitting with a patient, explaining options with compassion, providing that emotional support, that needs a human.
Exactly. So for many fields, the future isn't replacement, it's augmentation. AI handles the routine stuff, freeing up humans for the uniquely human parts.
It's interesting thinking about those less glamorous jobs that seem surprisingly safe. You mentioned a couple earlier that really stood out.
Yeah, let's revisit those because they're quite telling. Kindergarten teachers.
Kindergarten teachers, okay, that's not the first job that comes to mind when you think AI-proof.
Right, right. But think about it. A room full of 5-year-olds. Unpredictable emotions flying everywhere, very little logic, constant movement. Managing that, it takes incredible patience, improvisation, storytelling, conflict resolution on the fly, and just genuine heartfelt care. It's like chaos management with heart.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want an algorithm trying to mediate a fight over a toy truck.
Exactly. Meanwhile, like we said, junior copywriters doing formulaic stuff, that's much more vulnerable. Other surprising ones, comedians.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, AI can write jokes, maybe, but the delivery, reading the room, timing, that's performance art.
Totally. And hairstylists.
Ah, good way.
It's that mix of physical skill, artistry, and that sort of informal therapy session people often have in the chair, right?
Yeah.
Robot barbers? I don't think so. Not soon, anyway.
Okay, so bringing this all together for our listeners,
Mm-hmm.
if you're thinking about your own career or maybe guiding your kids, what are the key lessons here? How do we future-proof ourselves?
Yeah, this is really the practical takeaway for you listening. The best bet seems to be actively cultivating those uniquely human skills, things AI really struggles with. So develop your emotional intelligence, get better at storytelling, practice really listening to people, like deep listening, become good at resolving conflicts.
So the soft skills are actually becoming the hard currency in the AI age.
You could definitely say that. Also, learning to collaborate effectively with other humans is key, and developing a strong ethical sense. And maybe above all, just being flexible, adaptable. Because this isn't stopping. The tech will keep evolving.
So it's less about fighting AI and more about learning to dance with it, using it as a tool.
Exactly. Learn to use AI tools effectively. See them as partners that can handle the grunt work, freeing you up for the human stuff. Because here's a thought to leave you with. AI probably won't take your job, but someone using AI better than you, they just might.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful thought. So maybe ultimately the question isn't just what AI can't do. Maybe it's also about what AI shouldn't do, where that human connection is just fundamentally necessary.
I think that's right. It brings us back to the inherent value of human presence, compassion, intuition, ethics, emotion. These things matter in many roles.
So maybe instead of just worrying, is my job safe? The better question for you to ask is, how can I bring more of my unique humanity into my work?
Yes, focusing on developing and using those distinctly human strengths that feels like the most strategic and probably the most fulfilling path forward in the age of AI.
We'll see you next time on Andy and Anna Talks. Until then, be human, stay curious.
And hey, don't let a robot steal your thunder. Unless it's doing your taxes, then by all means let it.